Monday, now your local news.
This is CBS 2 News at 11.
The winner of Survivor Amazon.
We have the first one-on-one interview with Jenna, tonight's $1 million winner of Survivor Amazon. Good evening, I'm Todd McDermott.
And I'm Kirsten Cole in for Mary Calvi. We'll have the live interview with Jenna, the Survivor winner, just a little bit later on. But first, a shocking crime in New Jersey. 2 nuns have been assaulted.
The deeply disturbing attack happened at a senior citizen home behind a church. Now, police are on the hunt for the suspect.
CBS 2's Rose Walia is live in Wayne with the story. Rose.
Kirsten, Todd, officials believe it was a drifter that came to this town 2 days ago and attacked the nuns at a residence behind this church, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, 2 days ago. And people in this area cannot believe that someone would do such a thing.
He looked a little edgy around the edges, as it were.
Father Dan Kelly says he ran into a suspicious character Thursday evening that he knew was up to no good. The man, he says, claimed his car had broken down and he needed help. Instead, Father Kelly gave him $3 and the man left. But he circled around the block to the Kilroy residence behind the church where there is a senior center. A sister let the man in, then
He attacked them, pushing them to the ground, stealing one of the sisters' purses, and rather frightening the community, and then left.
the man got away with $100 and the sisters were left shaken. Police describe him as a white man, 25 to 30 years old, about 5 feet 10 inches tall, with a slim to medium build, and was wearing a gray sweatsuit. Mayor Scott Romana says he was definitely not from the area.
Our town generally does not have anything like this occur, and that's why I think it's so, it infuriates us so much.
Priests here at the church say everyone at the residence and at the church has been told to be cautious and not to open the door to strangers. We're live in Wayne. Rose Walia, CBS 2 News. Todd.
Rose, thank you. New leads tonight in the investigation into the Anthrax attacks that killed 5 people in the weeks after 9/11. One victim lived in the Bronx, another in Connecticut, and several of those poison letters were mailed from New Jersey. But the focus now has turned to Frederick, Maryland, and a pond. Tony Aiello is here with late details. Tony.
Todd, the main suspect in the Anthrax investigation once lived just 8 miles from this pond in Frederick, Maryland. Investigators hope to drain the pond as they work on a central part of the Anthrax mystery. How did the killer pack deadly spores into envelopes without killing or sickening himself? These photos show investigators near the pond in Frederick, Maryland in December and January. After cutting through ice, divers entered the water and found equipment that might have been used to stuff anthrax into this and other envelopes.
Nobody's going to want to handle anthrax in the form that the letter anthrax was, where it would float on the air and be easily breathable, even though, even if you were protected by antibiotic and vaccine, you just wouldn't want to get a nose full of that stuff.
The new theory holds that perhaps the anthrax killer stood in shallow water and used gloves to fill the envelopes inside a sort of underwater chamber, then sank the equipment to hide the evidence. The Washington Post reports the water theory is the result of investigators' interest in Dr. Stephen Hatfill. He's a bioterror expert who holds a diploma in diving and underwater medicine from a South African Naval Training Institute. Hatfill has proclaimed his innocence. His attorney calls the water theory far-fetched. Tonight, CNN reports traces of anthrax were found on some of the equipment taken from the pond. The FBI finds this water theory promising and plans to drain the pond in the next 2 weeks to see what else they find. Kirsten.
Tony Aiello reporting for us. Thank you, Tony. The city's budget crunch has some civil rights groups asking whether the coming layoffs will target black and Latino workers. The group 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement and others claim that thousands of jobs staffed by minorities are being cut at agencies like the Education Department. Now they're calling on Mayor Michael Bloomberg to release a racial breakdown of the coming layoffs.
We need to make sure that the targeted departments, the targeted units within a city agency are not only the ones that comprise a disproportionate high number of African Americans, Latinos, and Asians.
But the mayor's office has fired back today, saying somebody should inform these irresponsible and disgusting race baiters that the layoff lists are generated according to civil service law and collective bargaining, agreed to by each union. Todd.
A new report slams some of the city's nonprofit institutions for complaining about budget cutbacks while paying their executives hundreds of thousands of dollars. The New York Public Library is among the organizations cited in the daily news story in today's edition of the paper. The library has threatened to shut down dozens of branches to deal with substantial budget cuts. But at the same time, it reportedly paid its president more than $500,000 in compensation. Other prominent institutions cited in that report for big executive paydays while considering big cuts: the Metropolitan Opera Association, the American Museum of Natural History, the New York Philharmonic, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Moving to the Middle East now, Secretary of State Colin Powell has been meeting with Israelis and Palestinians trying to hammer out a peace agreement. The Palestinians have accepted a U.S.-developed peace plan, and now Israel says they will soon meet with the Palestinians. This handshake marked the turning of a corner, the backing of a new leader for the Palestinians, Prime Minister Mahmoud Abbas, and the acceptance of a U.S.-drawn roadmap for peace.
Let's get started now. Let's not waste another day. Let's not waste another discussion session. Let's get on with the actions required.
In his first meeting with Powell, Prime Minister Abbas says he accepts the plan that provides for Palestinian statehood by 2005. The U.S. will now provide $50 million to Palestinians to help create jobs and revive their economy. Notably, Yasser Arafat is not part of this plan.
We recognize that Mr. Arafat is still there, but the United States will not be dealing with him.
Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon told Powell that Israel will make no compromises when it comes to its security, but did make some small diplomatic overtures by easing travel restrictions on the West Bank and releasing some Palestinian prisoners.
Quiet and security for the Israeli people will lead to Israeli measures that will create a new and better reality for the Palestinian population.
Now, the U.S. is urging key concessions from each side, that Israel dismantle settlements and withdraw from some occupied areas, and that Palestinians stop terrorist attacks. But so far, both Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad have rejected calls from the new prime minister to end the bombings.
Iraqis marched in Baghdad today to remember their loved ones lost under Saddam Hussein's brutal regime. They chanted, "No Ba'ath Party, no Saddam." Iraqis also welcomed the words of a leader recently returned to Iraq after 2 decades in exile in Iran. That man, Ayatollah Mohammad Bakir al-Hakim, is the leader of Iraq's largest Shia Muslim group. He told his followers not to take orders from anyone and to demand the new government be built by Iraqis.
Well, a lot of us around the tri-state area have been hearing the rumble of thunder. Craig Allen standing by now to tell us exactly who's getting what and when. Craig.
Yeah, it's still around, and the threat for showers and thunderstorms will continue at least for a couple hours, even beyond midnight now, as this thing takes its time to get through. The core of this monster is right here. Look at this swirl over the Great Lakes region. Everything up and around, and the frontal systems coming out of it, sweeping through our region right now. And we can show you where the showers and thunderstorms are on Storm Tracker. So we go to that, and there is scattered shower and thunderstorm activity coming up through New Jersey, through the Hudson Valley into Connecticut, and it's moving southwest to northeast. Here's where we close in for you. Look at this back here to the north of 80, back across near the Delaware Water Gap and on into Sussex County. You have additional showers that just moved on through portions of Bergen County into Rockland and Westchester, and others that are moving on up towards Danbury. Full forecast is coming up later in the newscast. Todd, Kirsten?
All right, Craig, thank you.
And there is a lot more news ahead, including charges of wasted money when it comes to fixing our city schools. We'll tell you why one official says a lot of green is going into a black hole.
Then a CBS 2 special reports cell phones that can be used as instant cameras. Some people say it's an instant invasion of privacy. Plus, Survivor Mania.
I'm Katie McGee at the Ed Sullivan Theater, where Jenna Maraska has just been announced as the winner of Survivor the Amazon. Coming up, we're going to talk to Jenna and find out what she's going to do with that $1 million. We're back in 60 seconds.
A Brooklyn grocer is recovering tonight after being attacked and robbed while selling Mother's Day flowers. Police say 5 young men stole some flowers from a grocery store on St. John's Place in Crown Heights. They say the suspects punched the store employee. Then the suspect's pit bull bit the store employee in the stomach. The worker is in stable condition. No arrests have been made.
Police have busted 2 car vandals on Long Island. Police caught the suspects early this morning in Westbury. Car owners have been calling cops saying all 4 of their tires had been slashed. In all, more than 35 people woke up to cars that wouldn't be getting them anywhere this Mother's Day. But one alert woman woke up to find 2 men stabbing the tires on her car. She called police, who arrested a 17- and 20-year-old, charging them each with 1 felony count. Officers say the suspects appeared to be drunk.
Is the city of New York wasting money on school repairs that are never completed? Congressman Anthony Weiner says the city has spent nearly $3 million over the past 3 years to rent scaffolding at more than 40 public schools. Weiner says the repairs were never made. He uses PS 152 in Washington Heights as an example. The roof began falling down in 2001. The school construction authority placed the order for scaffolding to be erected. 2 years later, the scaffolding is still up. Weiner says that's a waste of taxpayer money.
The leaders at the Board of Ed had said, you know what, let's put up a scaffolding and then forget it, rather than say let's put up a scaffolding and start the work. That's what they should have been doing.
The president of the School Construction Authority says they will begin work on the schools when funding actually becomes available.
More devastating tornadoes whip through the heartland, leaving a path of destruction in their wake. We will have the dramatic pictures.
Then remember the days when cell phones were just used to make phone calls? Find out why some people find the latest technology so alarming.
Security cameras, traffic cameras, ATM cameras, those surveillance cameras seem to be everywhere, taking our pictures wherever we go. But how would you feel if a stranger's cell phone could take your picture and then instantly post it on the web? CBS 2's Lisa Daniels has our story.
Hi there. Cell phone cameras, internet ready and pocket sized, are being sold as sexy, fun-filled, and ultra hip.
The whole beauty of the camera phone is you always have a camera with you.
I take your picture? Take a picture and instantly email it. But behind the upbeat high-tech hype is the reality that cell cams don't look like cameras. While you take a picture, it can look like you're just making a phone call. This potential for deception makes privacy advocates and police warn there may be a dark side to every cell phone owner also becoming a shutterbug.
With the video camera being inside the telephone, an individual can walk up to any person, any place, anytime on the beach and videotape or photograph a female laying there, and she would not even know it.
And that's exactly what's happened in Japan and across Europe, where cell phone cameras have been the rage for the past year. Cell cams have been used as spy cams. Privacy advocate Perry Aftab says that technology creates an impulse for voyeurism.
Cell phones have a special technology that allow you to upload the pictures taken immediately. What does that mean if someone's got a cell phone that can take pictures in a locker room?
Most gym users don't realize that there's already a booming underground market for pictures taken by cameras hidden in locker rooms, dressing rooms, and bathrooms. And once it's on the web, it's nearly impossible to take it off.
I wouldn't want somebody walking around the locker room when I'm getting changed, uploading it to the internet.
I'd be a little concerned about taking a shower or getting naked, I think.
I don't think I want anyone looking at my butt with a towel on.
Cell cam makers are targeting young users, but there's also concern about exploiting the very young.
We also need to teach our children that someone with a cell phone may be doing more than just talking. They may be taking their pictures.
Big smiles.
Cell phone companies insist most consumers will use cell cams for fun or business.
It gives people real-time, instant communication.
And they say that new cell cam owners should act responsibly.